Everybody moving to the South Coast thinks they want the same thing at first. Then you actually start showing them towns, and suddenly the priorities change fast. The couple who swore they wanted waterfront living realizes they hate summer traffic. The buyer, obsessed with walkability, suddenly wants acreage after driving through Westport. The Boston commuter, who thought they wanted quiet coastal life, realizes they still need decent highway access or they're going to lose their mind by Thursday morning. That's why one of the biggest mistakes buyers make around here is searching for the best town. There isn't one. The best town depends entirely on your lifestyle. And honestly, people don't figure that out until they physically spend time down here. So if you're thinking about moving anywhere around the South Coast, I want to break down which towns fit different personalities, because Dartmouth and Fairhaven and Westport and New Bedford all feel completely different once you actually live there. And yeah, somebody from one of these towns is probably going to get mad at me during this video. That's part of the fun, honestly. Let's start with people who want the classic coastal New England lifestyle. If your dream looks like harbor views, walkable village areas, coffee shops, boats, restaurants nearby, summer energy, coastal charm, you're probably going to love Padanaram or Mattapoisett. Padanaram especially has this polished coastal village feel that people fall hard for immediately. You walk around there once and suddenly you're online looking at boat prices you absolutely cannot afford. It happens fast. Mattapoisett has a similar coastal feel too. A little more relaxed, little quieter, strong community vibe. Both towns feel like places people picture when they imagine coastal Massachusetts, but they're not cheap. That's the trade-off. Now, if you want space and privacy and more rural energy, Westport starts making a lot of sense. Westport feels different from almost every other South Coast town. More farmland, more privacy, more back roads, more nature. People who move there usually want separation from busier areas. You're not moving to Westport because you want to be near a ton of chain stores and traffic. You're moving there because you want to breathe. And honestly, Horseneck Beach alone sells people on Westport half the time. Sunsets out there get ridiculous. But Westport also feels more spread out. That matters. Some buyers love that. Others start realizing they miss convenience after 2 weeks. Now, for people who want balance, Dartmouth probably checks the most boxes overall. That's why so many people end up there. Dartmouth gives you coastal access, shopping, restaurants, space, highway access, good neighborhoods, different housing options, and multiple personalities depending on where you live. North Dartmouth feels more convenient. South Dartmouth starts leaning heavily coastal. That flexibility helps buyers a lot, especially families. Now let's talk about New Bedford, because honestly, a lot of people overlook it at first and then end up loving it once they spend real time there. New Bedford has energy. It's got history, culture, incredible food, working waterfront vibes, art, fishing industry roots, and way more going on than people expect. Downtown New Bedford especially has changed a lot over the years. You've got restaurants, breweries, galleries, coffee shops, the ferry to Martha's Vineyard, and some seriously beautiful historical architecture. And compared to some surrounding coastal towns, buyers can sometimes get a lot more house for their money there. Now obviously, like any city, different neighborhoods feel different. That's true everywhere. But for buyers who want more activity, more diversity, more culture, and easier access to amenities, New Bedford becomes a really interesting option, especially for younger buyers or people who don't necessarily want the super quiet suburban feel. Now, speaking of families, a lot of buyers moving with kids lean towards Dartmouth, Mattapoisett, or parts of Fairhaven depending on budget and lifestyle. And honestly, schools always become part of the conversation whether people say it publicly or not. Everybody acts casual at first. Then halfway through showings, they suddenly start asking, so what's the school situation here? Every single time. Now, Fairhaven's interesting because it gives you coastal access and character at a different price point than some neighboring towns. Fairhaven has history, waterfront areas, marina energy, cool architecture, and some parts feel massively underrated. But like every town, some areas feel different than others. That's why people need to physically drive these towns, not just watch YouTube videos. I'm serious. Because one street can feel completely different from another street 5 minutes away around here. Now, if you're commuting north towards Boston or Providence regularly, your priorities change fast too. People always underestimate commuting on paper. A drive that doesn't look bad online suddenly feels personal after doing it every morning in February rain. That's why some commuters lean towards parts of Dartmouth, New Bedford, or even Fall River, depending on budget and highway access. Now, Fall River is becoming interesting too, especially for buyers priced out elsewhere. You're seeing more people take a second look there because compared to some coastal towns nearby, pricing can still feel more approachable. And honestly, the Portuguese food also deserves respect. I said what I said. Now, for buyers chasing pure waterfront luxury, parts of South Dartmouth, Marion, Mattapoisett, and Westport become major players. That's where you start getting private docks, waterfront estates, harbor views, bigger coastal homes, more luxury inventory. And those markets behave differently. Completely different buyer pool, completely different price expectations. Now here's the thing people moving to South Coast usually realize after spending time here. Your lifestyle matters more than the house itself. I've watched buyers fall in love with beautiful homes and then realize the location doesn't fit how they want to live daily. That's a problem because you can renovate kitchens, you can't renovate your commute, you can't renovate town culture, you can't renovate the feeling you get driving through an area every day. That's why I always tell people, spend time here before buying. Come during summer, come during the winter. Drive around at night, grab coffee locally. Sit near the harbor, drive the commute yourself. That tells you more than Zillow ever will. And honestly, the South Coast has this weird way of pulling people in once they find the town that fits them. That's usually when the search gets emotional. If you're thinking about moving anywhere around the South Coast and want to figure out which town actually matches your lifestyle, send me a message. I'll help you narrow things down before you end up touring houses in towns that make no sense for how you want to live. And subscribe, because next week I'm breaking down what it's actually like living on the South Coast. The beaches, schools, lifestyle, and the stuff people wish they knew before moving here.